Hello everyone, I am Tacet and Merry Christmas. We'll try to keep the event video a little bit shorter this week so that it doesn't go too long, as I know many of you have other things to be doing today. Also, one thing to note real quick about next week is I will be on vacation on New Year's Day, and I will not be around to actually do the event videos, so the event video for next week will be a little bit later into the week. But anyways, today we are going over the Hey Coral event, in which the Coral Golem is added to the game, so let's get into him. So he gives us a bunch of green-blue arcane trait stones. This I would mainly use for either a Mercy fully traded or a Christinax fully traded, both of which are really good utility troops. So this new Coral Golem, speaking of utility troops, is basically solely for utility. This isn't really something that you would build a team around. You would simply go and build it into a specific team that happens to need his function. So what he does is he explodes a gem, submerges a random ally for every green gem destroyed, and then gains a bunch of life and armor. He is quite a bit better than the other Golem, and he's basically just used to submerge your entire team while hopefully also gaining an extra turn. At this current moment, he is the only troop in the game that is able to give you a full submerge to your team while still retaining your turn, since he does have the board control off of the exploded gem. So still could be pretty decent as a function for the submerge. Submerge was buffed this patch, so it now has the ability to work against things like Mana Burn when Queen Mab does it to full AoE. It also works against Kraken's final trait, and it also works against Hydra's final trait now, as well as everything else that does full AoE off of its ability, such as any physical or true damage. It still does not work against things like full AoE Mana Drain, full AoE stats effects, and full AoE stat reduction. But for everything else, it now does function against, so it did get quite a bit of a buff this patch. It also has Indigestible, which is quite decent for countering out all the Krakens and stuff, if you want to put it in last slot. And it also has Stone Skin, so if you need, you could use this as a frontline tank. So there are definitely plenty of options that you can use him into. Also, fully trading him would be a pretty good idea due to the two somewhat decent traits that he has. So, event keys, are they worth using this week? No, they are not. I would not bother. Next week will be a event where you would actually get a new legend from it, so I would definitely just wait till then and just completely skip this week. The only noteworthy thing in here is the Leviathan legend, which if you don't have a copy yet, I guess you could go for one, but every drop in here is pretty much useless. From this kingdom, there's only two troops that are even useful, Azura and Merline. Merline's only ultra rare, so you probably already have that naturally, and Azura you can get for free from doing the kingdom, as well as getting 3 from the event objectives this week. And speaking of event objectives, let's go right into those. So if we go over to the event, we can get this pretty easily. You get 3 free Azuras just from killing a bunch of things in PvP. You basically get 1 gem worth of gems, basically every battle you do in PvP. So definitely a really good week to go and do a lot of PvP, as most people normally do, but you will just naturally get all of this stuff. You'll get 100 gems, 1,500 souls, 5 gem keys, and 3 Azura copies of everything within Merlantis. She is currently the strongest. It is very rare that the free epic is the strongest within a kingdom. Forest of Thorns is another example of that. But yeah, she has a Dispel to all enemies, decrease the random skill to all enemies, and she explodes all blues and is boosted by the amount of blues on the board as well. So quite potent, really good exploder. Used very similarly to that of a Ragnagord, except that the fact she doesn't have a fast, but still really nice troop to utilize. So definitely make sure to get some copies of her. I just completely did not go over anything else though. So let me go over to those. You also get 10% to all Merlantis, which isn't too relevant because again, there's only 2 you'd really be using for the most part. Azura, the new troop, oh I guess 3 then. Azura, the new troop, and the Merlion. And the other one is 10% to all constructs. This would mainly just be applicable for the Guardians, like if you were going to run a Justice or some other kind of Guardian. And we also get 400 bonus gold for doing Explorer, though the fact that the event is paired with PvP, you probably wouldn't be doing this too much, but if you did want to go and do some Explore farming, you could just go to Explore in any kingdom, doesn't matter which, and just simply use one on your team. And what? Oh, never mind. Okay, that's the right one. For a second, I thought it overwrit my team with the one I placed earlier. No, but this is correct. So basically, all you have to do is have one little coral thingy on your team, get your explosion, get your mana up, get whatever your kill card is, cast it, and then boom, you win. And maybe you'll have to do that twice sometimes, but just simply do that twice, and then boom, there you go. And as you can see, we do get that extra 400 gold. Doing an explore battle gives roughly around 500-ish, and there's the extra 400, and the other 8 was just from, I guess, the battle itself, from maybe something that happened. Maybe we got an extra turn or something. But yep, that's pretty much it. That's all you really need to do to get your extra 400 gold, and just keep repeating that over and over and over again. It is a pretty decent gold farming method, probably quicker than doing actual PvP, though the fact that the event is particularly linked to PvP, you'd probably just wanting to be doing that instead. So I will show one quick PvP team real quick with the little guy. I don't really advise using him as your main team. He's not really made to be made into a normal team that you'd be running against everything. He's mainly used only to counter out when you notice your team that you're up against is using a lot of full AoE. In any other instance, you're basically going to just not use him. There's no point in shoving him into every team you ever use, because his purpose is very, very niche in what he's actually good for. So what we're using right here is a Farce Troll Kraken combo. The reason for this is this guy does need greens on the board, and quite a few of them, to be able to get his constant 4-time submerges. You would need to make sure he explodes 4 greens in order to get his 4 submerges all simultaneously. So let's hopefully get that here. We will lose our turn, but I'm still going for it, because I do want to get ourselves those submerges so we don't keep taking damage. Would also be great if we could get rid of this freeze. Luckily, we could still extra turn on that one. I might have to just cast this, just because there's way too much in the way. Wow, we got really lucky this time. A double devour. But as you can see, there's definitely plenty of green. We even got the thing to trigger. That's nice. We'll just go double this real quick since we did submerge. Unfortunately, wow, I just got rid of my entire board. But let's go use them. We could take the extra turn right there. Also get a double submerge. And as you can see, as I mentioned earlier... Wait, how did it triple? Okay. Wait, does it automatically submerge himself? No, I guess I just hit 3 greens and I didn't notice. Okay, well, let's go with that. But as you can see, we now have 3 troops submerged. These are now protected against full AoE damage. Do keep in mind that 2 things will untrigger the submerge. If they cast their ability, it will untrigger. And if they take a skull, so if your front line takes a skull, it will untrigger the submerge. So do keep that in mind. Also, this spell with things like Azura and other troops have will also get rid of it from any of your allies that happen to have it on. As you can see there, we ended up taking the skull from the explosion in order to get ourselves a extra turn to allow him to submerge our allies without actually wasting the turn. And he's basically the only thing that can do that right now, so that's pretty potent, being able to get a submerge for free without any kind of downside being applied to it, since you can just get it, go on your way, and just be from there. So right here, we can do it again, try using it against something like a grapple pot here. It also would work on the full AoE of the Nobbin brothers. So essentially what we'll just want to do here is get whatever our mana generator up. This time around, it is going to be just getting all of our greens, getting them as quickly as possible, getting that 4-time submerge and keep us protected. Unfortunately, that did not land that well right there. We'll just go take the green over, throw down a Kraken, and should be good to go. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is basically just something you throw on your teams when you notice that there is AoEs on the team. This is not something you would throw against absolutely everything you see. Might come in handy on Guild War days, on green and blue days, given that there might be a lot of AoEs that you could be able to counter out. And if the team is ever running anything too heavy with them, it would be a good time to go and try using it against. 2 biggest things I'd probably focus on whenever you see on the enemy teams is maybe putting him on your team when you see that a enemy is running either a full AoE dragon team, a full AoE just any kind of related team, or a Kraken Queen map team. Those are probably the 3 biggest things you would want to consider using this guy for. In every other situation that they're not really running any AoE at all or anything like that, you might as well just ignore it. You would not need it for that situation. So right here, we'll go for the Kraken. Getting insanely lucky. Wow, why can't we get that kind of luck for Guild Wars? We'll throw that down. Go get our doubling of the green. Might not even get submerged this time, but at least we got to do it pretty nicely from the previous battle. Yeah, we don't even really get to utilize the submerge this time around. I don't even think he's just gonna get his ability off, and if he does, well, it's not gonna be that consequential to anything. So right here, we'll go for a triple submerge. We'll end up getting a purple off the Cascade too. Doesn't look like we'll get an extra turn, but still, let's go for it, might as well. And we do get our... Okay, that was definitely 3 greens. I think, even though the card doesn't say it, I think he automatically submerges himself. Submerge a random ally for every green gem destroyed. It's either it's early in the morning and I'm just not noticing the extra green both the times, or it is definitely automatically submerging himself. I'm pretty sure it's that one. Well, the card doesn't say it, but that does make him quite a bit more viable, if that is indeed the case, since you would only need to hit 3 greens and not 4 in order to submerge your entire team. Which makes it just even more easier. You might not even need a Forest Troll or some kind of green spammer to get him up. Of course, the two things that you would mainly use, I was showing Forest Troll there, but you can use either Green Seer or Forest Troll, both of which would work out very well for getting yourself the greens you need to constantly make sure he does do a full submerge to your entire team. But anyways, that is the new troop and the event. Actually, there are one other thing I forgot to go mention real quick, though. How could I forget? We have the Soul Forge. What should you craft? Well, it's pretty obvious this week, because Ferris Ra is still around. He's lasting until about Wednesday or Thursday, so definitely get yourself one. Other than stuff that's not Ferris Ra, one thing that you could craft if you don't already have one is Kraken. Very nice. You saw me actually just using it in the last few battles. The enemy was even running in one. It's used mainly for its tentacles that do 3 damage to all enemies. It's also very commonly used for its blue spawn into a really potent Devour. This is one of the best Devourers in the game at the moment, and yeah, if you're ever looking to just completely destroy the enemy team, this is the card for you. Also is ran pretty commonly within Guild Wars and can be used within main PvP teams. It is among one of the best troops in the game, which is why it's worth crafting. But yeah, Kraken and Ferris Ra are the main two that you may consider getting. As far as these little stone things, under blue, actually pretty good to go for if you don't have a Forest Troll or a Flame Troll. Again, we were using him as well. Forest Troll doubles all the greens, Flame Troll same thing, but it does it for the doubling of the red. Forest Troll in particular is really, really good to have. It's used for quite a bit of teams, particularly some things that are some of the best in the game. Green, only thing good here is the Dire Wolf, so don't bother with green. It's useless this week. Under reds, there is a Ragnagord, a Valkyrie, and a Firebomb, so it might be worth going for. Firebomb is, however, already in the gold keys right now, so I'm personally waiting until about mid-January, until the new Kingdom comes out, before I bother getting myself a mythic Firebomb, but reds are actually somewhat decent to go for if you happen to need either of these 3 troops, and if you're an early game player that doesn't have Ragnagord, it would probably be a pretty good idea to try focusing him down. He's a really good exploder, particularly if you can afford to get him to 2 traits. As far as the yellows here, these are useless, just ignore them. There is a Zephyrus, which might be good in early game, but I don't think it would be worth going for the straw pull, though, to try to get him. Be a little bit of a waste. As far as purple, Spirit Fox is good, but similarly, there's too many things that are in this straw pull that are bad, so I wouldn't bother for it. And as far as browns, again, there's Rock Spirit that is decent, but everything else is so horrible that I wouldn't bother going for them. But anyways, now that is everything for the event. So if you guys still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday, wonderful Christmas, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye, everyone. And we will be streaming tonight on Christmas at our normal time, and that will be our final stream as well for basically the next, until about the 4th. So do keep that in mind as well. And anyways, guys, have wonderful holidays. Have a wonderful New Year if I don't happen to see you by then. And yeah. Best of luck with everything. Goodbye, everyone.